All right, so last night I went to see him, and it's one of those movies that I feel like is here for a good time, not a long time. And even though it's an hour and 30 minutes, you get an hour and 30 minutes of crazy imagery, crazy sound design, and a movie that honestly feels like a roller coaster ride, if anything. All right, so let's get into it. It was directed by Justin Tipping. It was produced by Monkey Paw Productions, which is Jordan Peele's production company. So it wasn't directed by him. It was just produced by his company, but you can tell that it had some of that Jordan Peele-esque vibe going on with it. So in the movie, you have this kid named Cam who looks up to this player named Isaiah White. He plays for a fictional football team called the Saviors. And in this movie, this kid is brought up and bred to want to be the GOAT, want to be him, right? One day. So throughout life, it's taught to him that, you're going to play football, you're going to do this and that, you're going to be him, you're going to surpass the dude that you look up to. And the movie pretty much brings that in full fruition when Isaiah White reaches out to Cam after an accident that happened, or was it an attack? I don't know. Maybe it was an attack, maybe it was an accident. But he reaches out to Cam and invites him to his home for 6 days to train and to hopefully take over his spot as the starting QB for the Saviors. Now, what happens in these next couple of days is insane. Cam has no idea what he's walking into, but for the audience, it is a visual stimulant, and that can either be a good or bad thing. So the actors in this movie did their thing. Of course, Marlon Wayans plays Isaiah White in the movie. He does a great job. A lot of times when he's on the scene, he's usually still in the show. I love how when he was on the scene, he played this character so well. He had this dual nature to where you didn't know if he was being sincere with Cam or he was kind of like setting him up in some way. So I thought that he played that very well. We all know Marlon Wayans for being, funny and stuff like that, but I think he can play serious roles really good. Then you had the actor Tyreek Withers, and I thought he did a great job as well, especially when they was on the scene. It was kind of like big brother, little brother type of dynamic. Now, when the movie goes on, that big brother, little brother dynamic is non-existent. But in the beginning, I thought that they played that very well. Julia Fox is also in the movie. She plays Marlon Wayne's wife, and I thought she did a great job in the movie as well too. I thought she didn't take her character so serious, but that's what made it good. Oftentimes in movies, her characters, they're usually like supporting cast, but she really played it up really well, and I thought she did a good job of kind of just being that support character, or just the other character to Marlon Wayans' craziness. Even though the stuff that she did in the movie is quite crazy too. Another actor I want to give props to in this movie is Jim Jeffries. Hopefully I'm getting this right, but I want to say he was the trainer in the movie. Now in the beginning of the movie, the trainer is kind of there next to Isaiah White doing whatever he says, right? So he's like, he's gonna take care of you for the rest of the movie. If you need anything, holla at him. And in the beginning, I thought that the trainer dude was going to be a lot more evil than he came off, right? I thought like, okay, this is the dude you need to watch for. But in the end, he ended up being the voice of reason and trying to save Cam before going to that evil party, you know. But he ended up being the voice of reason. So I like how he played his character. I wish it was fleshed out a little bit more. I feel like he knew more than he actually gave the audience. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be times where stuff would be going on and he'll just be sitting there, but it's like, I wish they fleshed his character out a little bit more so that we kind of knew what was going on in his head, or at least what he knew up until that point of everything that he's seen from just being around Isaiah White. All right, so let's talk about the cinematography. The cinematography in this movie is crazy. It's like a stylized horror music video. And I know most people are like, what, a music video? Yes. The way the shots are look, it's amazing. Now they're out in the desert, so everything is gonna be like wide shots and slow panning shots. And I thought everything was done very, very well, even from like the color grading of being out in the desert. I like how a lot of the outfits pop, but the cinematography in this movie is great. Another area I feel like they shined in with this movie was the sound design. I think the sound design in this movie was amazing. Again, how you see this movie will be how you perceive this movie. So I went and saw it in Dolby Cinema. Dolby Cinema has like speakers moving throughout the wall, through your seats. So that made the sound design pop even more. I like the song choices. I think the title track for the project that's performed by Denzel Curry was great, especially toward the end. And that's the first thing you heard when the movie ended. I thought that was dope. But even like scenes where they're like in the hallways moving around, I thought they used silence really well. Because even in the movie theater, you can hear like sounds panning to the left or to the right. So I think they did a great job in the sound department. And every crack, knuckle pop, hit, everything in the movie that you hear, it's almost like you feel it. Right. So this is a movie that if I would go see it, I would go see it in Dolby Cinema or somewhere where they emphasize the sound. Another aspect of this movie that I want to point out is how primal the movie felt. It did a good job of just showing how animalistic humans are. Like, yes, we are intelligent people. We can walk around, we can communicate, we can build things with our hands. But at our core, we're very animalistic, right? So it did a great job of giving you that energy off the screen. Very, very root chakra based. And you noticed a lot of reds in there, a lot of orange in the scenes. There were a lot of scenes where there was a lot of blue. So they did a good job of using color. But again, I'm not sure if they did this on purpose, but they did a great job of making you feel that primalness coming off the screen. Now, there's a lot of symbolism in this movie. To me, it's very surface level symbolism, stuff that most people know. So the name of the team is called the Saviors. I want to say their mascot is some thing with like shimmering pom-poms on it. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it has horns, right? And most of their mascots, from what I saw in the movie, had horns. So people would associate that with the devil. And it's kind of like this weird juxtaposition from having a team called the Saviors, but then your mascot having like these horns, and it's kind of weird. But that's the team's mascot. And then you have the symbolism with players like Cam in the movie coming up, being called the chosen one. And that's kind of akin to Jesus. And then they had a scene in the movie where he's sitting at this table and he got like six people to his left, six people to his right. He's in the middle, and they're like taking pictures and asking for his autograph and stuff, but it looks like the Last Supper. So it's scenes like that in the movie that are like very stylized. And again, if you know symbolism, it's very surface level. Anybody could see that and say, oh, okay, it's the Last Supper. But it's nothing that's like in this movie in terms of the symbolism that's like, okay, maybe we need to dig deeper. Maybe it's saying, no, it's not saying anything. And even symbolism like using the word GOAT, greatest of all time, stuff like that in the movie. And then there was a lot of eye symbolism in the movie, which eye of horrors. It really goes deep. And this is a movie review. You get to talking about that. That's a whole nother video. But again, a lot of the stuff in this movie was very surface level. And I feel like it was just an exaggeration of the things that may or may not go on behind the scenes. But I didn't think that the movie took itself serious, especially in the last act. Now, I do think the ending of the movie was funny to me. It was funny to me. And it was funny to me because it showed me that it just didn't take itself serious. Now, the scene where they fight at the end and then he let them know, like, yo, I'm taking my blood, passing it on to you. This is what happened before them and before them. I thought it was an interesting twist. I thought that was cool. Now, the part where he walks out into the field and like, they got this weird setup. They got this, pentagram in the middle of the floor. You got people sitting at these steps with like these pig heads on their, just weird stuff that people may or may not do behind the scenes, but this stuff that they're kind of poking fun at it, right? So you walk out there and you see all this stuff, you're like, what is going on? And the movie just like literally just takes a sharp left turn. And then it just turns into something that's wacky. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz, right? At the end of the Wizard of Oz, they get to the end, they pull the curtain back, and it's like, oh, for real? It's just one dude doing all this stuff behind the scenes. And I feel like that's where the movie went off. I wouldn't say went off the rails, but it definitely jumped the shark. And if anybody know what jump the shark means, just look it up. But it just went crazy. And it was funny to me. I was sitting there laughing the entire time. I'm watching all this stuff go on, which again, painted by this beautiful blue sky backdrop. It was just weird. The juxtaposition in this movie of stuff in this movie is just weird. You got all this blood flying everywhere, but then, oh yeah, it's just a beautiful day outside. But at the end, he ends up getting rid of everybody, even his agent. His agent, I don't even know. I couldn't even explain what happened to his agent. Y'all would have to see. I'm trying to explain it without giving away too much. But at the end, he does what he does. But the one question that I do have at the end is that, does it continue? Even though he did not sign the contract, right? He still has Isaiah White's blood running through his veins right now. And everybody from the past, I'm assuming. He didn't sign the contract, but he left, right? And I know the movie is I don't feel like it's gonna be a part two. I don't feel like there's no need for a part two. But being that it left on such a cliffhanger, I think that he goes and signs with another team and he becomes the GOAT. And maybe he continues it. Maybe he, when he passes away, he'll be the last living GOAT, right? But I thought that was interesting in the movie because they didn't really explain anything. But at the end, he just walks away smiling. But I'm like, he's gonna continue doing this. You know what I mean? He just didn't sign with them, the Saviors team. He'll probably go sign somewhere else. So I thought that was interesting. But that last scene, it was crazy. Some people gonna hate it. Some people gonna love it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious because look, at the end of the day, it didn't take itself so serious. But overall, man, I give this movie a 7 out of 10. If I would have it on a scale of 10 to 1, I would give it a 7. I had a good time watching it. I felt like it was fun. It's one of those movies, if you at home on a Saturday night and you just flicking through the channels and you turn on HBO and it's on, you might just let it stay on there, right? If I'm in the kitchen washing dishes or cooking food and I'm like, oh, him is on, let it run. It's one of them type of movies. Again, I enjoyed the cinematography. I think the sound design is the true king of this movie. I think that's where it truly stands out. And I think it was a movie that doesn't take itself too serious. And it's just a fun experience, right? Don't go in trying to decode nothing like, ooh, what are they trying to say about what's going on in the NFL? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Go in there with no expectations like I did, and I promise you, you're gonna have fun. But yeah, man, it's the Kid Ríez. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, make sure y'all be safe, stay carefree, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.